Three, two, one, and go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from three Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd related media. This is our Mando-Monday reaction and analysis episode. Today, we will be discussing Chapter 13, The Jedi.
The Jedi.
So,
Jedi.
I think
the long-awaited episode.
Yep, I think it is safe to say this has been one of the most highly anticipated episodes ever since The Mandalorian began, and I think personally, for me, I was a little underwhelmed. What did you guys think?
It was very interesting. I think we should go over some of the things that happened, but it's interesting because we all knew this episode's gonna be written and directed by Dave Filoni, who in everyone's mind is like the heir apparent to George Lucas, and who up to now hasn't done any wrong. Everything he touches is gold, basically. And because of those rumors, people were suspecting that Ahsoka Tano would be finally showing up in live action The Mandalorian after all those Rosario Dawson rumors, and to finally get it on screen. It was interesting. It's the first time that I ever actually stayed up late to see an episode when it was posted, because I couldn't even sleep. I was like, I tried to sleep and it's like, it's not happening. So I'm just staying
Seriously?
Awake. Yeah. I saw it and I had mixed. I don't think the episode was bad. I'm gonna start off that way. Mm-hmm. It wasn't bad. I think it was a good episode. I just don't think it landed. I think it was on the whole a miss. I think it's the weakest episode of the season, in my humble view. I think Ahsoka was misused, even though I think Rosario did a good job, frankly. But I think the episode didn't work. How about you, Mo?
I honestly, I was disappointed, to say the least.
Not good.
No, I thought there was like a lot of elements. I thought the elements were there. It's just I don't know if it was just the execution. I don't know if it was could it be? There's also a lot of I probably had the anticipation or the expectations of what Ahsoka should be.
Yeah.
Especially at this stage in her life. And then the episode did what I kind of feared what was going to happen, which is I have no idea what Mandalorian is about at this moment. Did it turn into, is this going to be Ahsoka's story? Is this going to be Mandin's and Gorgu's story, or is this going to be
Grogu or Jogurt? I imagine it. I for a second I'm like, did they watch Spaceballs and saw Jogurt, and then they're like, okay, well,
wow.
The Go-Gurt.
No, Pink Milk was actually doing that joke with the Go-Gurt, and then calling Grogu Go Girl. Hilarious. I don't know. It was a weird name. Not a bad Star Wars name considering all the names that are out there.
No.
Yeah.
Not a bad Star Wars name. Kind of felt like I'm like Goku or something. I was like, what are you going for here?
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. It was like that scene where Ahsoka was like, yeah, we can sort of talk, but then you sort of got a whole name out of this. There were no words exchanged. And she was like, well, we can sort of talk, implying there were no words. It was more like feelings and whatnot.
Yeah, like we can sense each other's spirits and stuff. And then, but she got his actual name.
But then, you sensed the name. Like, okay. Like, I mean, it could be a thing. That could be analyzed. That could be a symbolic thing. Absolutely. But I remember my brother, like, at the end just asking, like, how do you felt? I was like, I don't know. It just felt like like I have there's something missing, or there's something I missed. I'm not sure. I'll probably have to rewatch it, but I think it's the weakest in the season.
I agree. I actually rewatched it this morning and got really nothing new from it.
Okay.
You know, I felt almost exactly the same way I felt when I watched it the first time. Like, I was kind of hoping to find maybe some inner meaning in the second watch, but
Yeah.
it's just, it's like you said, it's disappointing. Obviously, we kind of led ourselves to this too because we had such huge expectations of, Ahsoka, and, we were past the halfway point in the season, so we were expecting more things to happen. And then obviously it's the one written and directed by Filoni. So, we did it to ourselves. But at the same time, I mean, this whole season at this point is the same things happening in every episode. You go to a new place, you meet new people, you quid pro quo. If you do this for me, I'll do this for you. And then you don't get any payout at the end. I mean, it's you thought, we were kind of forgiving it because for the first half, we're like, well, it's the first half, so maybe they're just setting up all these things. But then now we're episode 5 and they're still doing the same thing. And this time they even did it with, Ahsoka. So it was kind of like you had set up all these things to happen that could have, moved the story forward in this episode. And this episode, nothing really happens. I mean, Mandalorian basically does nothing in the entire episode.
Yeah. Why don't we go through what happened in the episode?
Okay. So
we start with that fight, right? Where that whole scene
where Ahsoka's first revealed.
Yes. So first, so we open with the cold open, so to speak, of like Ahsoka being badass. Which, let's be honest, that was a cool way to start the episode.
Yes,
it's like showing Ahsoka as a ghost in the mist, running through and like mowing down the enemies. I thought it was a clever way to just start the episode because it was just like it wasn't being hiding the intentions, that will we reveal Ahsoka or not. She's like, yes, this is the Ahsoka episode.
It's from the beginning. Yep.
So I thought that was clever.
And it was very cool to see her, with like the hood and the cape and the lightsabers looked amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I had one question though. Did they like make like new lightsabers for Rosario Dawson to use on the show, or did they just go to Galaxy's Edge and buy some of the Ahsoka Tano lightsabers that they have there on sale and just use those? That's my big question from the episode.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, seeing how, I don't know, for some reason, even the makeup, like the whole like structure of like Ahsoka's like thing, it just seemed like kind of cheap for some reason. Like it looked like cracked. Like I'm like, Return of the Jedi, you had like smooth whole like the Twilights with the whole like I don't know, head tails or what, I don't know how they're called.
Or Montrails. That's the big discussion right now on Twitter.
And well, there we go. I guess that's and then here you had like it looked like it was like made with like foam, and I was like cracking off. So maybe,
and it moved weird sometimes.
Yeah, it looked like fake. I'm like at this moment, like
it is fake.
Well, no, obviously,
but you never saw Frog Lady, and you were like, you look fake, Frog Lady. It's like, yeah, I know you're a fake Frog Lady,
but I think the reason for that is because it's the whole oh my god, the uncanny valley thing effect, where like with Frog Lady it wasn't jarring because it's a frog face, so you're already disconnected from making the association with a human face, and because Ahsoka has a human face, it makes you go into like what's off that doesn't connect with you visually. I think that might be one of those reasons that why we're more critical of like the makeup effects with characters that are
they should have been longer too, right? Because already in Rebels they were longer than what they were here, and now more time has passed, so that kind of
I read online that the reason for that was for stunts, that they were gonna do them longer, but because of stunts and whatnot, it
was harder to move around.
They had to. They're apparently, this is what the online sources say, they are looking to make them longer for future appearances, if there are future appearances. But like for when they were doing it, because of stunts and movements, they just couldn't get them to work as well. So that's why they had to make them look younger. Which is one thing, exactly. Like because they were short, it kind of reminded me of like younger Ahsoka.
Yeah, so it felt a little
older.
Yeah. It kind of jarred me there a little bit. And then even though I do think Rosario Dawson did a pretty good job, but this is the problem with using people that are very recognizable. It's hard to see them as the character. So even though I really wanted to see Ahsoka, when she was like far away and you couldn't see her features as clearly, it did feel more like Ahsoka. But then the voice and the features and everything, it was just like Rosario Dawson cosplaying as Ahsoka and not really Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So it was, and the whole time I was like, man, I really wish actually Eckstein could have done this, because I think that's why Bo-Katan worked so well, because you had, Katie Sackhoff playing her, who had already played her in Rebels, and that's why it worked so well. But that was Disney bad decisions, honestly. I don't know why.
I mean, the more I've seen the episode 3 times, I think now, and like the more I watch it, like the less jarring Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka is to me. It's just like
Okay.
when I say it's like okay, I can get over it and like accept her as the character, and I honestly think she did a pretty good job at
Mhm.
kind of capturing that like actually Eckstein essence
Yeah.
from Rebels, because I think she actually did portray that even like in the voice. I think she tried to
Modulate her
have
voice.
that yeah, like have that feel. Obviously, she can't change her voice to sound like Ashley Eckstein. They have very different voices, but at least the nuance behind it, I think, was there. So like, it wasn't so much like the performance that was the
Yeah,
off-putting part.
I
It's
know.
like what you said, Nani. It's just like you just saw Rosario Dawson, one, and then two, the trying to accept the translation from animation to live action.
Yeah, which is always hard to do. So.
Mhm. But after that cold open, we start with the Razor Crest, right? Going into the forest planet of Corvus.
Mhm.
I think it was the name. They land, and it's a desolate forest planet. All the trees are dead, basically. The whole
Mhm.
atmosphere is greenish, yellowy, sickly.
Yeah.
And there's the walled off city.
Mhm.
Goes into that. And Michael Biehn, master of the 80s, Kyle Reese from The Terminator and all those James Cameron movies, is the second in command.
Yeah.
Lets him into the city. Basically, it's a feudal Japanese city, very Akira Kurosawa, all those ancient samurai movies, which is very on the nose for Star Wars, considering George Lucas's very direct influences from Kurosawa. There, Mando meets a citizen who apparently is like a legendary Disney Imagineer. I did not know that.
Really?
Yep, apparently. Can't talk to him for too long because reasons of oppression and the First Amendment doesn't exist there, apparently. And he's taken to the
or any.
magistrate. Yeah, he's taken to the magistrate. The magistrate, she lives in a second walled off part of the city. And when you go inside, lo and behold, inside this beautiful landscape in the sky, it stops
Yeah.
looking greenish. It's just beautiful blue with
Yeah.
beautiful landscape and trees that are, flourishing. And she tells him, oh, you have to kill the Jedi for me, and I'll give you this fancy spear of Beskar. Mando goes,
The Beskar spear was cool.
it was cool, and obviously that's a setup for. Well, we'll talk about it later. But it's a
Yeah.
setup, clearly.
I know.
He goes to find Ahsoka down in the forest. He finds her. Oh, Bo-Katan sent me. Please don't kill me.
Please don't kill me.
Which
But
was it?
we see deflecting with the Beskar.
Which was awesome. I did not know Beskar could do that, frankly, and the visuals of that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
And the way he roped her, like Boba roped Luke in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Very, very nice callback. But let's just get through the episode so we can talk about all the stuff we liked or didn't like. Obviously, Mando's not gonna kill Ahsoka because he wants her to train Grogu, or
Now
the
we
child
found out.
formerly known as Baby Yoda.
I'm still gonna call him Baby Yoda. I'm sorry. So
we'll get used. We'll get used to it eventually.
We'll get used to
maybe.
Grogu.
She communes with him, finds out all this history that he was part of the Jedi Temple, trained by many masters in the past, but she can't train him. But then she does a switcheroo after he passes the test with the little ball thing from the last season.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, well, I'll train him if you help me take down the magistrate. And as every other episode, Mando agrees. They go back to the city, which I got a lot of chills because like all that sequence when they're attacking the city gave me Ghost of Tsushima vibes. I don't know if you played that game, Nani. I know you have. It was just total Ghost of Tsushima, like from the rooftops and doing all the stealth kills and everything. Like, whoa, okay. I like this. Ahsoka battles the magistrate. Obviously, she wins. But then at the end of the episode, peace is restored. The city starts looking healthier again. The Imagineer from before is installed as the new magistrate, and
Hmm.
Ahsoka finally tells Mando that she can't train the child slash Grogu, and that he must go to Typhon so that the child can choose his destiny. And that is the episode in a nutshell. Any what worked at that, what didn't work. We already talked about the beginning. We already talked about the Ahsoka. What else?
Okay, I first of all, it was awesome to see Kyle Reese, as the like second in command. That was awesome.
Totally
And then
underused though.
totally underused, yes.
It was a
Um,
glorified cameo.
I know. And then they keep like focusing on his face, like maybe can you expect he was gonna do something more
Yeah, no,
worthwhile, but then
nothing.
nothing happens.
So
um I I was expecting that first confrontation with Mando and Ahsoka, which was really cool. I kind of wanted to last longer for them to like fight for a little bit longer,
yeah.
extend it a little bit more. I kind of wanted more of a reaction as well when she first saw the child, like
Mm-hmm.
more, she's just like, oh, is it about him that we're gonna talk? Like I expected, I don't know, more of a reaction, I guess. I don't know. I also kept it because he kept referring to her as the Jedi all the time, and I just kept
Mm-hmm.
wanting her to say, I am no longer a Jedi.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities there. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
expected them to have, because this is still supposed to be Mando's story. So I
Yes,
was
exactly.
expecting for her
Yeah.
to maybe reveal more about who Bo-Katan is and her role, Ahsoka's and Bo-Katan's role in the liberation of Mandalore and all this stuff that he, should maybe be learning more about his own
Mm-hmm.
people. But
Yeah.
he learns nothing more in the episode except for,
Yeah.
Grogu's name and his history.
Yeah.
Um, I was also a little bit disappointed that they did reveal his name. I was kind of hoping that, even, now that you know that he does have memories, that he was raised in the Jedi
Mm-hmm.
Temple, but then a lot of his memories are dark because he was alone. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's like his history began again when he met the Mandalorian. And
Yeah.
it's like his life started anew. And I was kind of hoping that Mando was going to name him
Mm-hmm.
later on, or that he would reveal his name to Mando first or something. The
Mm-hmm.
whole happening through Ahsoka, it was a little for me. So
I think, and you touched on this. I think one of the main issues was that there was no conflict in the episode.
yeah. Hmm.
I mean, because it was like a fake conflict in a way when like the magistrate tells Mando like, "Oh, you have to go and kill the Jedi," but you already know as an
That
audience
he's
member that
searching for her.
he's not
Yeah.
going to go and fight her
Hmm.
because he needs her to
Yeah.
fulfill his quest.
It
It's
was
kind of
almost like how convenient. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember I
So
got that feeling. It's like, this is way too easy. I mean,
yeah.
here I am trying to clandestinely find the Jedi, and this woman is just giving her to me on a platter.
Yep. Yep.
Like,
Yep. But it just didn't land because as opposed to Bo Katan, which I think was a very well placed cameo slash character from Clone Wars slash Rebels that interacts with Mando, there is conflict there because it kind of makes Mando question what it means to be Mandalorian. So Bo
yeah.
Katan is coming into his story in a way that directly affects him
Hmm.
and what he stands for and who he is. So there is like at least an internal conflict for him, which creates a good dynamic between Bo-Katan and and Din Djarin.
Hmm.
But Ahsoka literally does nothing for him.
Yeah.
So there is no conflict between them. They're not at odds. She doesn't force him to question anything.
Hmm.
So it kind of falls flat, and it makes him second fiddle in his own show. Because let's
Yeah.
face it, Mando did nothing in this episode. Because
Yeah.
when they attack the city, it's all Ahsoka. He just like
so
stands and guards the door. That's all he does.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it makes sense because I was reading originally that the rumors were that Ahsoka's episode would be a backdoor pilot for like her own show to kind
yeah.
of see if how the character works in this show to see if she's well received, then like they'll kind of green light a new show for her, which I could see how it worked because she had the protagonism in the show. But for a season as short as Mandalorian is, and
Yeah.
for episodes as short as they usually are, and even though this was a long episode, still didn't
Yeah.
feel like it gave me that much.
Yeah.
Do you think that they would want to like get squeeze as much opportunity out of every episode? And I think this one was a big Like if people were saying that other episodes were a side quest, this episode was the side quest
Yep.
because it
Mhm.
literally hits pause on the whole story for him to do absolutely nothing and have
Nothing.
another character do
Mhm.
something else.
Yeah.
The only thing that this episode, at least in my mind, and you guys, chime in if you disagree. The only thing that I feel this episode did to set up something in the future is the Beskar spear,
Yeah.
because now for me that's like, okay, well then Mando's gonna fight Moff Gideon with the spear. Because originally I thought it would be Ahsoka fighting lightsaber to lightsaber with Moff Gideon,
Oh,
but now that he
gotcha.
has the spear, I don't
Or
think
he could
Ahsoka's
give the
coming
spear
back.
to Bo-Katan and have
Yeah,
Bo-Katan
yeah,
fight Moff
that
Gideon.
that
Yeah.
might be possible too.
I thought at the beginning the spear it looked like Phasma's spear for some reason.
Yeah,
I was like,
It
what?
does a little bit, yeah.
And then, but then I had like the other tip, so I was like, oh, it's a little
Mhm.
bit different. I think, honestly, to me, like the episode, you don't see any growth for the character
Mhm.
for.
Mhm.
Uh, I thought we were gonna see a little bit more of like a mentorship, even
Mhm.
even if Ahsoka was not gonna take Grogu as an apprentice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm sure she is well aware of what could feel like to be a child at that age and be
Mhm.
force sensitive and what you're going through. Like especially like this what she said, like, oh, this whole idea of like Grogu has had to hide the force to survive. And then it's
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
all of a sudden, a character that's always been all about, embrace yourself
Yeah.
and it's like no, just let the child like hide it and hopefully fades away. It
Yeah.
felt
Mhm.
I don't know. It felt out of character.
Yeah.
Uh, I can see how it could be just more of a darker Ahsoka who's giving up on hope,
Mhm.
but it just didn't feel like it was on what we will expect from Ahsoka
Yeah.
to actually have
Hmm.
done.
Do
Especially,
we do we know Mo, if like that last scene from Rebels when it's set versus the show? Do you think that maybe that last scene from Rebels is after this show, or is that last
well,
scene
well,
from
well,
Rebels
well,
before this
well.
show?
I know that
Because I
scene
think that
was
could explain
after. I think the scene is after. Like it has to be within like give or take a
exactly.
few like years. Like
Because I think that could explain where she is if it's before or after that scene. Because if it's after that scene, then I agree with you. Doesn't make sense with where she's at. But if it's before that scene, then it could, because maybe she's still,
yeah,
searching for Ezra and like going through some tough shit, with the war against the Empire and whatnot. So I
which is
think it's
what kind of
depending on how it's
implied.
gone. Yeah.
It's kind of like I think when it got implied, oh, she's looking for Thrawn all of a sudden. Like
hmm Which
there was like
was
Another
awesome
name
okay,
drop.
and
I
it
another
was
mean,
name
awesome,
drop. Yeah,
awesome, but still at the same time, like, wait, how much are we gonna cram
yeah.
into
yeah,
this?
Yeah. So when we first heard it, we were like screaming at the TV, like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it!" And then a few seconds afterwards, we were like, "But another name
But
drop? Like,
why?
how
Yeah.
much of this show is gonna be Mandalorian now?
right,
I mean,
right.
everything is a name drop now."
Well,
Which I mean, in the short term is really cool, but what's it gonna mean for the
Mhm.
yeah,
rest of the show if you just keep introducing all these things and have your main characters have no growth?
But
yeah.
I don't think the Thrawn name drop, and this is just me personally,
You
my
think that's more
my
for the
my theory.
Ahsoka show if it's gonna
Yes,
happen?
I don't think this has to do
Okay.
with the show, which again is detrimental for the
To
episode,
the
because it's like they're
Yeah.
like you're putting things in that do not conduce to anything of growth for our two main characters.
yeah.
Because it's like all of a sudden it's like wait, is Thrawn working for Moff Gideon? Is Moff Gideon working for
Mhm.
Thrawn?
Mhm.
Like you open up that possibility. Like who is this all? Like
Yeah.
and when you mention that goose, that oh, this kind of seemed like a pilot. That is exactly how it seemed. The whole episode
Mhm.
just seemed like a site. Like it solidified what we were talking. Like Mando, this season seemed like just a game. You're just going stage by stage,
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
but this has become like a very linear game where
Mhm. Mhm.
there's not even like
Where
there's
all
no
the levels are the
semblance of
same.
yeah all the
changes
levers are just the
the
same. It's
background.
like, I mean, could it be a very meta homage to 80s video games where every level is sort of the same? And
Yeah.
but I don't know that I th- I think it's falling kind of flat. And if it's also a pilot for the Ahsoka show, at least uh, as a fan, I don't think I'm bought. Like I don't feel like I want to watch it just yet.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on
But you
that
will.
actually. But we will, because
I mean, we
we
will
can't help but
because
hooked. But it doesn't mean I'm gonna like it.
yeah,
True. But you will. Yeah.
like I felt like it's like, oh my god, like are we heading into? Is this gonna make us the Phantom, like the
No
Phantom
Phantom
Menace?
Menace. No,
Yeah.
never.
Oh
Always
No,
no, no,
constructive criticism.
yeah,
it was just, I think we're all big fans of Ahsoka, and it fell a little flat. And I thought it was, cool, that little kind of hint of, her talking about Anakin, and
Yeah.
you could hear the passion in her voice. Like, I
Mhm.
can see how this goes wrong with the fear and the anger. But her reaction should have been the opposite, I think. I think
Yeah.
she would have nurtured him more, not just
Mhm.
kind of leave him to his own devices. If there's anybody, like you were saying, Mo, that would understand, would be Ahsoka, who
Yeah.
managed to find balance between both sides of the Force. And I I get why they named the episode the Jedi, because he's in search of who he thinks is a Jedi. But again, it really upset me that she never like comes out and says,
yeah.
"I'm no longer a Jedi."
I'm not like a Jedi. Like,
Yeah.
I
I don't
think,
know.
and obviously this is conspiracy theory time. We
Okay.
should put like an alert on the screen. Conspiracy theory time.
it's-
I think even
fake
though
news.
yes, alternate facts, alternate fact time. I think even though Dave Filoni wrote the episode, I still think that he, again, conspiracy theory. I
Uh-huh.
don't think he had the complete freedom to just do whatever he wanted. I think there were requests that
Okay.
Lucasfilm had of him for precisely for the reason that we just discussed, which is like
Yep.
the Ahsoka standalone series,
Okay.
and I think they weren't letting him or requested. I don't think they make him do anything because I think he's earned the right to do whatever he wants. I think they
Right.
requested for him to not go too deep into any like of the Ahsoka lore, so that she would be accessible to new people watching the show. Because let's face it, a lot of people watching the show have not read the books, have
Yeah.
not
Mhm.
watched the animated stuff, so they have like they have no knowledge of Ahsoka. So I
Mhm.
think he was requested to like make her open and accessible, so that people wouldn't be like, wait, what what's all these things that she's talking about that I don't know about. Uh,
And then if
and
they're doing a show about her, leave the explanations of who she actually is and her backstory to the show.
for that, yes,
Okay.
that's what I think. I think he had his hands tied, and they asked him to do a lot of things that I don't think he would have naturally done. Because I
Yeah.
don't think this episode felt too Filoni esque.
Yeah.
There were a lot of Filoni things in it. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but again, I still feel he had his hands tied.
Yeah. So you think that also explains how that whole conversation with him and Ahsoka before they attack, oh, a Mandalorian and a Jedi, they would never expect
Mhm.
it, but it has happened before. That
Yeah,
Jedi,
she would have.
you know.
Yeah, she could have been like, bro, Siege of Mandalore. Ever heard of that? No. Okay. But I don't know. The episode 2 is just like, and maybe it's a symptom of them kind of being tied to use the volume in one specific way. But like for me, this episode was so similar to the first episode of this season. I forgot the name of the
Yeah,
Cobb Vanth episode. Where
the Marshall.
well, even the thank you, the Marshall. Even though it was different genres, right? The Marshall was a western, and
And this
this
was
one was a
more
samurai
samurai.
film. But even the setup was exactly the same. It's just like Mando walking into the desolate
But
town, to the
mhm.
single road,
Yeah.
and he
People
does the same
hiding
thing
behind
in
their
this one.
doors and everybody being like
Exactly.
scared of the new guy coming in, and yeah,
So like,
it felt really similar.
so not only structurally is this
Mhm.
show similar to like all the other ones, like, oh, new character from different source material who asks you to do something in return for something else, but it's also framed in the same way that the Marshall was,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
though there was less payoff in a way because the Marshal had like this bombastic cinematic,
Yeah.
climax with the Crate Dragon and like the
Hmm.
collaboration with Tusken. There
With
was
the
a lot of
Tusken
nuance.
Raiders and
Yeah. And then this one's just like, oh, okay, you get a spear. Now go
Yeah.
on to your next quest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do appreciate that they
the
changed the
magistrate
genre
was
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's the problem. There was a lot of things in this episode that could have been really,
Really?
really cool to explore. Especially
Yeah.
like Ahsoka's being like a Ronin, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
a samurai without an order, which is basically what they were going for. With the
Yeah.
whole feudal Japan.
Yeah. When she
thing,
lights
as
the lightsaber
Kurosawa.
right behind the guys, and you see the lightsaber shine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice homage
And-
to Rebels.
Fantastic. And then when she first jumps up, and you can't really see her, slashing a guy completely in half, but she slashes the bell.
Oh
Yeah.
And then you can see the
Awesome
bell and the
money
guy
shot.
falling right behind it. And it was so well shot. It felt very Filoni right there.
yes.
Like,
Oh yeah.
there were a lot of really cool moments, but
Mhm.
the actual structure of the episode fell flat. And then as a whole, then it feels like it falls flat, even though there were some beautiful shots. Ahsoka fighting was great. The lightsabers looked fantastic. I was a little upset they didn't use enough of her Clone War stance with the lightsabers, like behind that she used to do. She did it like a little bit at the end, so I was a little disappointed.
She does it
But-
at the beginning too. When I was rewatching it after you had mentioned that, I
Okay, she
rewatched
does it at
and
the beginning
She,
too.
she does it a couple of times, but mostly she keeps the
Mostly
The straight, yeah.
Yeah.
The fight, is actually pretty cool with her and the whatever her name was, the chick with the spear,
Another
the
magistrate.
the magistrate. Because it's set up with the path with the water and the trees
Yeah.
and everything. It looks very
Mhm, mhm.
samurai-ish.
Yes.
I don't think
Which people are
Mhm.
saying it's a call to Kill Bill, but I was watching a video. I forget who. I watch so much YouTube that I forget who I'm referencing half the time. But according to what they were saying, it's not actually a reference to Kill Bill. It's a
Mhm.
reference to the movie that Kill Bill references, which is Lady Snowblood. I
Okay.
think is the name of the samurai film.
Okay.
So again, another samurai callback.
Yeah. No, and it was the fight looked really cool, but I don't think Ahsoka would have ever lost the lightsaber like that. I think she would have destroyed that woman in no time. I just
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Mhm.
they framed it that way, so there's stakes on the episode because if she just,
Yeah.
you know,
But even still, it doesn't
destroy
feel like
her.
there's any stakes. But at the same time,
Yeah.
it also doesn't feel like there's any stakes,
yes,
So
Yeah,
I did like
I
the
agree.
moment on the other side of the door with Kyle Reese and Mando, and he has his "I can shoot first" too moment.
Yeah.
Was kind of cool.
is like shoehorning the western into the samurai. It's like
Yeah.
the gunslinger while the
Yeah.
Ronin is taking care of business. In the back.
And I love like part of half of that battle was just sounds. It was just them waiting on.
Yeah, the
like-
sound editing
Oh,
was
the sound was
fantastic.
fantastic. Yeah.
And then it was like when the Beskar fell, it's like, oh, I guess
Yeah.
my team lost. Like,
Yeah. Just from the
like-
sound of the falling
sound,
spear.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
But he still, even though he says he lost, he still tries to like one up them. It's like, dude, you got a Mandalorian, a Jedi against you. You're not winning this
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why even try?
There's no winning this at all.
I felt really bad for Michael Bean, aka Kyle Reese. It's like they don't even let him run away. It's just to like show up in another episode. It's just like, hey, we're just gonna kill you.
You're just gonna kill
Yeah.
me. That's it.
It's like, do you want to be in this show as a extended cameo? That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
I mean, I would take it, but I'm a nobody.
course.
If I were Kyle Reese, I'd be like, hey man, at least let me live. It's like,
No, because that might open up the possibility of like, well, is Kyle Reese part of the Star Wars alternate universe? And then
yes,
yes.
why not? World between worlds, everything's
World
possible.
Between Worlds, Jedi Terminators,
Arnold
bit-
Schwarzenegger and versus Ahsoka, season 3.
Well, I read somewhere that there was like a huge Easter egg,
watch.
like the assassin droids were
At the
HK
seventh
something,
fleet. Yeah.
and they were
Yeah.
referencing like the hunter killers from Terminator.
Oh, I didn't read that one. Which is really cool. What I had caught, well, two things about that I saw that they were based on Rolf McQuarrie early sketches for some droids. They just recycled to like make them, which is always cool. And the other thing is that some uber eagle-eyed nerds caught that the HK
Eagle.
droids had the seal of the 7th Fleet, which is the fleet that Thrawn commands in Star Wars.
That's cool.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That's a cool little Easter egg there.
For
Yeah.
a separate, well, actually, for the show is fine. I don't know. I just had mixed feelings about the Thrawn name drop.
I know. Yeah, it's. I think they're complicating it too much. I mean, again, if they're just trying to set up the Ahsoka verse
Yeah.
for her show, then it makes sense. But like you were saying, I hate it when they do that. When they take an episode just to spin off a new show, and
Yeah.
when they do that, they usually do it. Seasons that have 20 something episodes, and it still upsets
Especially
me. And
this
with
early.
this show, it's
Mhm.
8 episodes. You're at the pivotal point of like trying to have all these storylines coming together, and then you use this episode to possibly spin off another show. I think it's really unfair to Mando to kind of do
To be
this to
fair,
him,
though, to be fair, a lot of people have actually responded very well
to
to
the
the
episode. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen.
which is good. I mean, I want people to enjoy
Of
Star
course.
Wars. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was reading that it's the highest rated Mandalorian episode on IMDb or something.
Yeah, I got like a
which
9.7 or something, I think.
something like that. Which
Really?
hey,
Yeah.
which is great because the only thing that means is we get the
More
spin-off
viewers.
show, we get more Star Wars.
Mhm.
Exactly, and more is
And-
always better.
Yes.
And we
helps.
might get surprised. We might find that we get a super amazing Ahsoka series.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Yes. So speculation time. So to start wrapping up our chapter 13
Mhm.
reaction review. Uh, speculation.
Okay.
Will we think that we will see Ahsoka before the end of the season? And do we think that Thrawn will show up in the Mandalorian? Go.
I don't think so. I think it's no on either of that. I don't think Ahsoka's coming back, and I don't think there's going to be any Thrawn, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we might see Bo-Katan again. And
Because we only
Gideon.
have 3 episodes.
Three
I think
episodes.
this was the 5th one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no and no.
Mhm. Any speculation as to the Jedi who will possibly respond?
A lot of people are saying Luke, but if a Jedi responds, because I don't think a Jedi should respond, I think Gogurt or Jogurt or Grogu or whatever or Goku should stay with Mando and just they should just adopt. He should just legally adopt him and just move to take a Cub Vanth and just move to a nice little planet and just raise a family there. But if a Jedi does respond, I think it should be Ezra. And I think it should be because like I've said before, my head canon is that Ezra is in the unknown regions making a new type of Jedi order over there with the Shiz Skywalkers and whatnot, which is completely detached from Luke's Jedi order. It's like a more gray order in the unknown regions.
Okay.
And Ezra should get Gogurt and get him over there and have a nice little happy family in the unknown regions. But I don't think that's happening either. I think no Jedi's coming.
Okay,
Jedi's
we'll
coming.
see.
But if Ezra does come, that means Thrawn is around the corner as well.
Yes. Although I don't like them, and maybe we'll be surprised, but I don't like them keeping Thrawn as a villain because I don't think Thrawn is. I mean, he is a traditional villain, right? In the original Thrawn trilogy books, but the way he's been framed, especially like in the new canon, he's
Mhm.
more of. He's not necessarily. He's not a villain. He's a villain because he goes against the rebellion, but he's just a guy trying to do good for his people, for the Shiz. And he's cold and calculating, but that's part of his personality. So I don't think that now that the Empire is falling, he would, or has fell, he would necessarily stay aligned with them because their interest no longer serves the Shiz. So like him still serving the Empire and being a villain for the good guys doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe that's me being an apologist for Thrawn since I like him so much.
Yeah.
Well, but then this episode will contradict that headcanon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Which is why I'm a little
Iffy on that.
confused.
Yeah. I would like to point out that I think at the end, because Ahsoka promised that she was gonna train him, like if Mando helped her out, and then she went back on her word again. I think you can see when they're getting back on the Razor Crest that Baby Yoda's like communicating with her, and she smiles. So I think Baby Yoda asked her to not take him. I don't think he wants to be separated from the Mandalorian. So I kind of caught that the second time I watched it, and I thought that could be possible. So
Interesting. I didn't see that. I
possibility.
guess I need to watch the episode a fourth time.
there's no too many times to watch Mandalorian.
That's true. That
Yeah.
is true. Because even an episode I don't love as much, it's still a great episode.
It's still fun to watch. They're still beautifully shot. I mean, this whole episode, when they first say it's a forest planet, you're expecting this lush, beautiful place, and then you get there, and the machine of war has come to it, and it's just like this desolate, horrible place. And they're still incredibly well shot, and
absolutely.
those have been some of the coolest lightsabers ever portrayed.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's
they
so, it's so nice to
obviously
finally see white blades in live action.
Lightsabers.
no, they were fantastic.
White saber.
Lightsabers. But I think we are pretty much done, right? Anything else you guys want to add?
No, except that I'm really looking forward to next episode. I don't think the title has leaked yet, so hoping that like things pick up now and like we
Yeah.
go back to Moff Gideon and the Dark Troopers and just have like all out action and and character development for the next 3 episodes so we can end the series with a bang.
Yeah, and Mando actually doing something.
Mando doing something.
Or learning something
Or yes.
So for everybody out there listening, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and listen
And
to our.
we opened our T Public merch store. We don't have that many designs, but like we have some pretty cool stuff. So if you like and want to support the channel, go there. There's some cool shirts. Not all of them are, branded with our Try Out the Force stuff. So there's some cool Star Wars things there that if you enjoy, please drop by and help the channel out.
Thank you.
So signing off. May the Force be with you.